Man has always wrestled with one profound question: who or what is God? Is there a divine being orchestrating the universe, or is everything just a cosmic accident? Some believe in a personal God, others see the divine in nature, while some reject the idea altogether. People have shaped their understanding of the divine in countless ways. But what do these beliefs really mean? And how do they shape the way we see the world? In this video, we'll break down the different ways people understand God. Have you ever heard someone say, God is everywhere? Well, some people believe that God isn't just everywhere, He is everything. This belief is called pantheism. Pantheism is the belief that God and the universe are the same things. In other words, God is all and all is God. Think of the universe as one giant body, and everything within it, plants, animals, and humans, are like different parts of that body. Pantheists believe that everything in the world is a part of God, and that we are all little pieces of that God. But if everything is God, then you and I are God too. That means people can decide what is true for themselves and create their own reality. This is very different from Christianity, for Christians believe that God made everything but He is separate from His creation. Pantheism is common in some Eastern religions, like Hinduism and Taoism, as well as in certain philosophical and spiritual traditions. It often emphasizes a deep connection with nature and the universe, seeing all things as sacred and interconnected. In simple terms, pantheism teaches that God is not a separate being. Looking down on the world, God is the world and everything in it. Polytheism, by definition, is the belief in and worship of many gods. The word poly means many, and theism means the belief in the existence of a divine God. Though more than half of the world's population practices monotheism, most religions are actually polytheistic. The clearest modern example of polytheism is Hinduism, which has over 300 million gods. Although Hinduism is, in essence, pantheistic, it does hold to beliefs in many gods. It is interesting to note that even in polytheistic religions, one god usually reigns supreme over the other gods, like Zeus in the Greek mythology and Brahman in Hinduism. Polytheistic thinking is vastly different from other belief systems in the world. There is a high value placed on morality, and it varies for each individual and culture what those morals are. There is no absolute truth associated with polytheistic religions, and believers are able to worship the God of their choice, often in the way that they choose. Since people in polytheistic faiths often have the freedom to behave however they want, there is generally a lack of purpose that follows these religions. This leaves them with no sense of eternal hope and no ultimate purpose on earth. Deism is the belief that God created the universe but does not interfere with. Think of it like a clockmaker who carefully builds a clock, lines it up, and then steps away, letting the clock to run on its own. In the same way, deists believe that God designed the world, set natural laws in motion, and then left it to function independently without directly guiding human affairs. Deism became popular during the Enlightenment period, when people began focusing more on reason, science, and logic rather than religious traditions. Deists argue that while God exists, He does not intervene in daily life, answer prayers, or influence events supernaturally. Instead, they believe that everything happens according to the natural laws established at creation. This idea differs from traditional Christianity, which teaches that God is actively involved in the world, guiding, answering prayers, and performing miracles. While deism acknowledges God as the creator, it denies His ongoing presence in human life, making it more of a philosophical belief than a religious one. Dualism is the idea that there exist two powerful forces or gods in the universe with eternal and equal power, completely opposite to each other and constantly in conflict. Think of it like a cosmic battle between light and darkness, good and evil, or spirit and matter, where neither side is stronger than the other, and both have always existed. This idea appears in different areas of thought. In epistemology, these two principles come from two things: idea and object, or thought and thing. In metaphysics, it sees the universe as made up of two separate things, mind and matter. In ethics, from absolute right-wrong. It divides morality into absolute right and absolute wrong, with no middle ground. Theologically, Dualism refers to a belief system that interprets the universe as the result of two opposing and equally eternal forces or gods. These forces are typically characterized as good and evil, light and darkness, God and Satan, or other opposing powers in constant conflict. In this sense, therefore, dualism is a theology based on the belief in two gods, a good God of light and immaterial things, and an evil God of darkness and material things. Although the names of the gods change from one variation of the doctrine to the other, the common basic belief system can be traced from Zoroastrianism with its origins in ancient Persia about 3,000 years ago. However, in Christianity, this idea is rejected because the Bible teaches that God is all-powerful and no force or being is equal to him. While evil exists, it is not an equal opposing force to God, but rather something that God ultimately has control over. Atheism is the belief that there is no God or supernatural being. In simple terms, atheists do not believe in any divine power, such as God, gods, or spirits. Instead, they think that everything in the universe, including human life, can be explained through natural causes like science, reason, and evidence. Atheism has different forms. Some people are strong atheists who actively argue that God does not exist and try to convince others of their belief. Others are weak atheists who simply lack belief in God but do not strongly argue against religion. There are also practical atheists who may not deny God's existence outright but live as if he does not matter in daily life. Atheism is closely connected to rationalism and secular humanism, which emphasize science, human reason, and ethical values without relying on religion. While many atheists believe in morality and doing good, they base their ethics on human experiences rather than religious teachings. In contrast to religious beliefs that teach about God's existence, atheism dismisses the idea of a divine being, arguing that there is no solid proof for God. However, religious believers argue that there is plenty of evidence for God's existence, such as creation, morality, and personal experiences. The debate between atheism and belief in God has been ongoing for centuries and continues today. Agnosticism is a system of belief that states that it is not possible to either confirm or deny the existence of a creator, God or gods, or the nature of such beings because it is unknown. An agnostic, therefore, is one who follows such beliefs. What most people mean when they say they're agnostic is that they're not sure whether God exists or not. Agnosticism maintains that the nature and attributes of God are beyond the grasp of man's finite and limited mind. Agnostics generally claim either that it is not possible to have absolute or certain knowledge of the existence or non-existence of God or gods, or that, while individual certainty may be possible, they be possible, personally, have no knowledge. In both cases, this involves some form of skepticism. In short, agnosticism is about uncertainty. It says, I don't know if God exists, and maybe no one does. Agnosticism can be divided into three basic types. Strong agnosticism, which believes the existence of a higher power is permanently unknowable. Weak agnosticism, which believes it's currently unknown but potentially knowable in the future. And apathetic agnosticism takes the stance that the existence or non-existence of a supreme being is of little to no consequence in the lives of humans. An agnostic, therefore, is one who lacks knowledge of God, one who holds that we cannot know that God exists. While agnostics do not outrightly deny the existence of God, they simply maintain that if God exists at all or not, he is beyond the ability of finite man to comprehend. Thus, agnosticism neither denies nor affirms the existence of God. It is willful ignorance and contrary to man's deepest convictions that there is a God to whom man is accountable, making it an attempt of man to escape from a God they know exists.